Hello, hello, we are back. Finally, after weeks, despicable it's taken so long because Mike Johnson is a coward. Recollect, Adelita Grijalva is set to swear in at 4 p.m. It is 4:03 p.m. So now we wait. I'm somewhat worried that radical Republicans will find some excuse to stall. But let's hope they don't. I'm waiting on a PBS broadcast of this that was supposed to start 5 minutes ago, and it's not yet. Congress is a busy place. It's not atypical for certain things like this to take longer than they say they will. But I still think it would be nice if it happened on time for once. And that's okay. We'll wait. It's important to hold these kinds of people accountable uh, and to, see what's going on. How's everybody doing? The news. So a bunch of Epstein emails were leaked um, that, have been around, like House Democrats clearly to me what's going on. So House Democrats made a statement on the shutdown and everything, clearly blaming Republicans, obviously, for making people choose between food and healthcare, which is a very important message, and I do think the most important message, and also throwing some shade at Senate Democrats for folding and being a mess and not turning over leadership to new generations. That was like the implicit message. Additionally, uh, Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, fake Christian Mike Johnson, said he was going to finally swear in recollect Adelita Grijalva, who won her election weeks ago in September. And then the shutdown started, and he said, "Oh no, we can't swear you in," because it was made very clear when she won, she was going to get sworn in, and she promised she would be the 218th person, which is like the last person they need, to sign the discharge petition that would force the House to have to vote to release the Epstein files. So they're trying to stall for time in the Epstein files. So finally, now the shutdown's over. They're like, "Hey, we're gonna swear her in." Um, to add insult to injury and to get the message back on track, Democrats leaked a bunch of Epstein emails, and it seems clear Donald Trump, at the very least, knew more than he said. He seemed to know why. He seemed to know that Jeffrey Epstein was, you know. So she's going to be sworn in today. When she's sworn in, she's going to be the final person they need to sign the things to force a vote on the Epstein files, which is bipartisan. And Republicans are freaking the fuck out. Yeah, he spent hours with the victim, right? So like the pressure's up. Democrats are turning the pressure. Hey, what about the Epstein files? Which is a good point. And yeah, Trump was not chatting with the victim. We all know what he's doing with the victim, right? Um, but we're gonna find out because the files are gonna be released. Not right now, but it's she's going to be sworn in. Then she's going to be the last signature on the petition. Then they're going to get to hold soon a vote to release the Epstein files. Now, Republicans have been fucking panicked about this, right? Because a few Republicans did sign on as well. It's bipartisan petition to vote to release the Epstein files. That's very important. Um, Among them are like Nancy Mace, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and Lauren Boebert. Because they're like, well, we're out of time now. The walls are closing, and the Epstein files are going to be released. We're going to look so bad for having supported this all the time. I just saw like a broadcast from MSNBC. Apparently, this morning there was a meeting with a bunch of people who like have to tell like Donald Trump to try and corner Lauren Boebert and like beg her not to go through with this because even though like she and others already signed the discharge petition, right? If there's going to be a vote, you think, okay, well, there's going to be a vote. Fuck. When the vote happens, please vote against it. That's where they're at. That's what they're scared of. And hoping that the Republicans, even though the Republicans voted for it, for the discharge petition, they won't actually vote to release the Epstein files. But Lord Boebert did not cave, which is good. And also, because they know this is happening now, whoever's against this is going to be on the wrong side of history. and we just saw the midterm elections and Republicans got squashed, I expect not only is every Republican who voted for the discharge petition going to um, vote to release the Epstein files, but I expect dozens more Republicans to realize the Trump era is done and it's not politically worth hanging on to anymore, and to I think they're going to join them. I think we're going to see lots more Republicans if they decide. There's going to be a moment when we reach a tipping point that Trump's era is done, and it goes from suddenly like the only thing you can do as a Republican is back Trump no matter what to the last thing you want to do is support Trump no matter what. And anyone who's seen supporting the Epstein files, like supporting the cover up, is going to be on the wrong side of history. It's a massive prisoner's dilemma. We don't know what the tipping point is going to be. So she gets sworn in today. She signs the petition. Then hopefully very soon, might not be today, might not be hopefully this week, we see a vote to release the Epstein files. At that point, like the Republicans are over. It's so over. So yeah, Bober did not cave. Weirdly enough, I think we are going to see this splinter movement. So this is now like what this is going to be, swearing her in. We might see an impeachment. I don't know. I really don't know about that. I don't know if it would be good or bad for JD Vance to be in a position of leadership sooner. JD Vance might have a better job campaigning, being like, I wasn't associated with that. I had no responsibility. I did nothing up until right now in 2028. So I don't know. There's different ways that could go. But this is swearing in, if it actually happens, it should have happened months ago, is officially going to be lighting the fuse on the end of the Republican Party. It's going to get very interesting here very soon. Shout out to Representative-elect Adelita Grijalva, who, her district has gone without representation, has had taxation without representation for over a month because she was elected and not sworn in. So they've not had a representative, even though they had one, which is incredibly corrupt. She's suing them over this. She's suing, I think, in part to be sworn in. I think her lawsuit's still going to happen, and she's still, her and her district are entitled to something for this because they were really screwed. He's even also a job she signed up for. She hasn't got paid for that job. She hasn't been sworn in. She hasn't officially started a job. She hasn't had an office. She's just been like this nomad where she's a representative, but she's not allowed to serve. So that's despicable. So, she's rightfully going to come in, vote to release the Epstein files. Then the Republican Party is going to start to panic and crack. The coming days will be very interesting. As Nancy, hang on, buffering, sorry. Marjorie Taylor Greene is, I think, feels so scorned after Donald Trump didn't support her run for Senate. She is now going to be the face of this like counter splinter movement. And we're going to learn over the coming year, punishingly, what is MAGA all about? What are Republicans all about? Who is the heir apparent to different parts and elements of MAGA, right? There is the establishment, like religious fundamentalist angle with the Heritage Foundation, and there's the tech elites who I think are kind of in with the religious angle because they get lots of loyalty from that, lots of stability and money. They want people living traditional lives because if you're bad at code and you want to control people with brain chips and shit, you want people who like give up their money and are poor working class and happy in that and are very predictable. Even though they seem kind of like opposite, they are kind of like in it together. Like the libertarian tech bros want a populace of sheep who just go to church and don't want for anything from the government. And they're working together to bring about like a techno-feudalist empire. At the same time, you have the angry anti-establishment populist right, led by Marjorie Taylor Greene. And there's going to be Tucker Carlson, there's going to be groypers in there that are kind of the heir apparent to the actual rage and wrath of MAGA. So they're going to be bashing up against JD Vance types. JD Vance is kind of the handpicked leader for the traditionalist types. And these populists are going to, I think, have more of like the people and the spirit of MAGA and there's the hate. But to do that, they're going to have to crank up the hate. And we're talking full-blown anti-Semitism here. We're also going to see some of like the populist leftist commentators and stuff and politicians start to crack and go with them a little bit. So be careful. Please don't become anti-Semitic. They're going to start by saying like we're just against Israel as like a rallying cry, but it's going to get very lazy very fast. So that's going to be a thing that's going to happen. There may be other factionalism too. I'm super excited to see Republicans crack up over this. I think there's also going to be a third unloved faction of like traditional old school 2000s Bush era conservatives who I think at the end of the day are going to go with the Heritage Foundation and like the tech elites, the techno-feudalist angle, but like they're just like, what happened? I'm just a moderate centrist conservative. I thought we could all negotiate with this. If they're smart, they'll start running as like establishment Democrats, hopefully in areas Republicans would otherwise win. Because otherwise they are just cooked. They're dead meat. They're like, you know, the 2000 war hawks and stuff like that, who are just like, I just care about tax policy. Who don't realize the monster they have created and enabled, and their friends are not actually their friends. So this is the week that sets the groundwork for what politics is going to be for the near future. Isn't that exciting? All signs point to Republican collapse, but it's not. We can't just be happy about it because all signs also point to like there's going to be lots of right wing crazy terrorism. I think there's like we're entering MAGA civil war. Okay, if this is like a Marvel movie, this is the opening scene where she's sworn in, and then you're gonna have all the Republicans start to look at each other and realize they're panicking and the walls are closing in and they're out of time, and then someone's gonna make a move first. It's like a Mexican standoff, and they're like reaching for their weapons. Um, it's a scary place to be. How do we get the files once she's sworn in? Once she's sworn in, sorry, it's lots repeating. This is past delay. She's supposed to be sworn in by now. So she gets sworn in. Then she becomes the 218th person, which is the number they need, to sign the petition saying, hey, the House needs to have a vote on the Epstein files to release the Epstein files. So she signs it. Like Congress is going to need to vote on it. She signs it. Then they're going to have to schedule that vote. That's where we're going to see Mike Johnson try to stall more time if he can. Um, Once that vote happens, that's different than the people who like sign a petition, right? They're starting from scratch. Hopefully, presumably, the people who said I want to vote on to release the Epstein files are going to also vote to release the Epstein files. So Republicans are trying desperately to get the people who they want the people who the Republicans specifically who said they were going to vote to release the Epstein files to like then not actually vote to release the Epstein files once the vote is here. That's not happening. In fact, I think we're going to see more Republicans who realize the writing's on the wall and realize the Trump regime is weak and getting very unpopular under like affordability after the midterms. They're going to panic. A lot of Republicans think Trump is a bully and they hate it and they're kind of loyal because they feel like they have to and are willing to flip, right? I am personally the most impressed at Marco Rubio of all people. He's like not in Congress anymore, but like Marco Rubio and like Ted Cruz, like even like Ron DeSantis, like these are people who are considered leaders of the Republican Party and have been bullied into submission. I've personally been waiting since the start of this administration. There's got to be a day when Marco Rubio like punches Trump in the face, right? I feel like it's coming. Like he's just been bullied and he had to suck it up and be right there the whole time. So we're gonna see like all of the kind of like the beta Republican uprising. That's really 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 important here. Yeah, Charlie Kirk is not the person. These are all awful people. We're going to see like lots of Republicans who don't really like this, who feel like they've been bullied and pushed in a corner and had to go along with it, finally see this is their tipping point. I think they're going to jump. And I think we're going to see a lot of votes to release the Epstein files. And then a lot of them are going to dissociate from Trump hard. Once they pull that lever, there is no way back. The one sin in the Trump administration, it's not incompetence. Incompetence is encouraged. It's, not being loyal, not swearing fealty, of going against the king. So it's going to get real messy. And it makes me wonder why they're fighting so hard to protect this. Like, Trump has done so many awful scandal things. Why are they protecting this so hard? It must be really, really, really bad. And there's something kind of poetic about that. So now we just kind of hang out until she's sworn in. I won't be able to stream Super late tonight. I'm sorry. I'm going to have to go by like 5:30 to 6. I have evening plans, but we will see. Yeah, knitting cult lady is pretty good. There's like some limits. At knitting cult lady, like a lot of people, any one person has biases, right? It's important not to like mix up like puns with education, and also to know like one perspective is just one perspective. Knitting cult lady was like raised in a religious cult of personality, and then got out, and then was in the U.S. military, which also like deliberately, very deliberately, openly tries to kind of control and brainwash people in the same way, which that should make that totally evil. That makes sense for a military, right? You need people who are willing to like be soldiers and literally die for you. You need to kind of break people down and build them up. But there are like similarities. At the same time, I think she has some biases from that like are I think maybe impossible to fully get away from in your life, where she kind of assumes the military isn't that bad or isn't or like not she knows it is kind of culty, but assumes like there is things are going to be fine. It's still kind of normal. Like she's privy to that bias a little bit. Um, Personally, to give her some credit, I do think that if things get really bad in the United States and it gets to the point where like okay, like military coup or bust, I think the military will do the right thing and stand by their oath and stand for the American people. I think that is a pretty strong line, which is good. The downside is that if anyone has been paying attention, Donald Trump has been building a second military fully loyal to him and unaccountable to traditional military rules, which is ICE. Um, so that's like the worst case scenario, probably closer to 2028, especially with like election nonsense. Um, ICE largely recruits from organizations like the Proud Boys and are very, shall we say, wacky. They're dangerous. They have their own gear. They don't abide by the same kind of rule of law. They're kind of all over the place. And if it came to it, if the military was not, if the military stood back from Trump, ICE would still be in his corner. So he's kind of like playing both sides just in case, and that's dangerous and it's worth keeping an eye on. I agree. Things only stop when Trump is out of office. I'm Alice. You can call me Alice. Uh, see. Will Trump step down or be forced out? I don't think Trump is stepping down. I also don't think Trump is being forced out. I think the most likely and most feasible and most practical, like, what everyone kind of wants, I think, would be easiest for all parties involved on both sides of the aisle. Like, if Trump dies in office, I think it saves a lot of lives from what would be a mess otherwise. Um, I don't think J.D. Vance could command the same kind of corrupt culty thing of maintaining power in spite of elections. I frankly don't think that Russia has the same leverage on anyone else as they do as Donald Trump, and I think things will start to de-escalate, and lots of the oomph will be gone. Um, I could see if there's some shenanigans, the military standing up to J.D. Vance successfully. The real fear in 2028 is if they learn from Democrats in 2016. Where like I know Hillary and Bernie didn't like each other, but like if Hillary Clinton ran with Bernie as her VP, I think they would have won pretty handily and kept a handle on that like coalition. The MAGA civil war could end if JD Vance or whoever else, Marco Rubio is a better pick, but they're not going to do that because they're too racist. Um, Picks Marjorie Taylor Greene to run with and like kind of marry those sides a little bit. The stupid thing to do will be to think like, oh, JD Vance can just marry Erica Kirk, and that will secure the kind of populist angle because that's what the kids want, and it's like no one actually cares. And that's what I hope they do because it's a misplay and it makes JD Vance sell out even more of his humanity and personhood, and I think we should keep having him do that. Thank you, Mike. Um, we're still sorry if you can hear my sound. I'm playing Power Wash Simulator in another window, which I guess I'll just show. Sorry, I thought I was showing. But yeah, I'm playing Power Wash Simulator. Sorry, I don't know if there was sound or not. It was like low in my end. Yay. And I will keep you updated if she gets sworn in, but so far nothing. PBS is supposed to be showing this right now, and they're not. It's not PBS's fault necessarily, unless they're having tech issues. Yeah, Vance is where Christmas dies. However, I do think, okay, people, I'm worried right now. We're in kind of a 2015 moment. People said, oh, there's no way Trump would win. He's ridiculous and crazy. I'm worried people are saying the same thing about Marjorie Taylor Greene. And I'm worried, like, oh, he doesn't even know how to talk like a politician. I'm worried lots of people say that about JD Vance now. People also say that about Donald Trump. JD Vance isn't actually as big a void of charisma as we all kind of say he is. Like in the vice presidential debate, I was like, oh, I'm kind of scared of this guy. Like, he kind of knows how to lie, and I think that's scary. I do think there's value in like saying that he is kind of weak and weird, which he is. Make him kind of like a lol cow. That angle needs to be pushed more. I think personally, I think JD Vance might secretly be like transgender, or like queer in some way. The old pictures of him like cross-dressing, he seems the most happiest and alive inside that I've ever seen him. Um, Everything he does to put on this like masculine, hyper masculine kind of nonsense routine doesn't seem authentic to me. It seems like he's wearing a costume, like with his little beard and his suits. He seems so deeply uncomfortable in his own skin all of the time. Um, I think if he tries to set this up, which I think Vince is going to do, on this kind of appeal to young men, like what they're doing with the awful social media accounts he has, like this kind of like cool, edgy manosphere social media strategy. I think JD Vance loses on that because that is not the energy he has. He's not super macho and masculine, especially against Gavin Newsom. If it seems that like the right is going to run JD Vance, they have time to pivot away from that, and that would be a good idea. I think Newsom squashes Vance into the dirt because they're going to make it the masculinity campaign, and like Newsom just has like so much more aura than JD Vance, and I think even above any issues, like affordability alone could probably win it. I think the zombified Joe Biden might be able to just win in 2028 if his affordability continues to be as much of an issue as it is right now. But I think Gavin Newsom has overwhelming odds against JD Vance. The coastal angle is scary, but you know, is Vance smart? He might be smart, but like he doesn't. I don't know. He doesn't seem it. He doesn't seem like he has good ideas. He seems like a sellout. Um, I don't know. Like the problem with Vance is Vance and Marjorie Taylor Greene are people who are demonstrably willing to kind of sell out and say whatever they think people will like to hear, which can make them popular among stupid people. But if you have a memory, it makes like them super untrustworthy. And it's hard to kind of plan around Vance when he doesn't stand for anything. A big critique I've seen of like establishment Senate Democrats especially is they are highly predictable, um, which makes it easy to play around them because you know what's going to happen. You can like foretell and preempt a lot of actions. JD Vance, you really can't. Marjorie Taylor Greene, you really can't. Gavin Newsom, you really can't. Gavin Newsom is a leader and will take initiative and jumps on opportunities. Maybe that's what you can pick him on. But I mean, I am pleasantly surprised by Gavin Newsom every week. Do I think he's like ideally the best candidate technically in a lab if I were to make a candidate? No. But like Gavin Newsom keeps showing up and having good ideas and like pleasantly surprising the American people with like his willingness to just step up and be a leader in places you wouldn't expect him to show up. And that's like becomes more charming and charismatic each time he does it. And then the comments are always full of like old women being like, "Oh, he's so handsome," and young men being like, "Oh, he's so fucking handsome." I sound like a broken record a lot. I'm sorry. I need more news. I need more things to happen. New things that I can talk about that are different. But we're waiting because they won't swear her in. So yeah, this does not. When they swear her in, it does not automatically release the Epstein files, but it lays a healthy groundwork. Ugh, I'm gonna try and see if I can find a different. There we go. Did it happen already? What was it? We'll see. The whole chat's calling for the Epstein files. Yeah, this news network just put Epstein files in their title. I think Newsom is a textbook example of the Newsom is a textbook example of the old like stereotype of like a slick politician. But we actually haven't had a normal politician in so long. It feels novel again, which is weird. Just the concept that like if you tell Newsom you'll like he'll win your support if you do this thing or that thing, he'll actually do it. Does feel charming. It feels like he'll actually you know put in the effort. He'll attempt. And Newsom right now like might not win. I think there are big weaknesses. I think coming from California is a downside. But he's spending this time like he's running a podcast, he's doing things, he's talking to people, he's trying to crack the code. And I think anyone with enough time and will could figure out how to be a good candidate and how to be a good president. And like that's the journey he's doing. Oh, I think she was just sworn in. Okay. Well, PBS just screwed up, I guess. Oh no, we didn't miss it. Great. He realizes he's cooked. Did they? Oh, did they get to her? That would be tragic. That would be a betrayal. That would be a huge betrayal. But also, at the same time, that would be no. I hope they didn't flip her. Um, I'm starting to think maybe potentially if they all won Trump out and like the Republican Party is willing to flip on Trump now, that would explain why Mike Johnson is suddenly like, "Hey, I'm super friendly to Democrats. I wanted her in totally." Like they could just start rewriting history right now. Yeah, like he's using like I don't know, yeah, I mean, like your father was here. It could be weird. Like he's trying to appeal to that. He could try to get to her. I don't know. We'll see. That would be a twist. But uh, yeah, that's a scary possibility I did not consider, and I don't want to consider. But it seems like now he's playing nice with them, and I think Mike Johnson would absolutely like if he could flip, if he had to flip, he would flip because Mike Johnson has been under the greatest heat of anyone in this administration, trying to run cover for the Epstein files. If it's over, he's over. He's gonna have to distance himself as much as he possibly can, as fast as he possibly can immediately. We'll see. Should do her speech right. I'm sorry, I like the feed cut out. Let me see. I think they're swearing her in. I don't think they gave the speech already. We're gonna keep watching. We'll see. Oh, the chat's full of people calling for the Epstein files. Yeah, this might be the beginning of the end. I've heard people say one reason that makes sense for Trump giving like $40 billion to Argentina is kind of preemptively building a lifeline. They'll run to Argentina.
House will be in order.
Here we go.
Colleagues, members, please remove your conversations from the floor, clear the aisle so that proceedings in the House may continue. For what purposes, the gentleman from Tennessee rise?
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that the Committee on the Judiciary be discharged from further consideration of H.R. 4405 and ask for its immediate consideration in the House.
Under guidelines consistently issued by successive speakers, as recorded in Section 956 of the House Rules and Manual, the chair
We're gonna figure out what
not
happens.
to entertain the request unless it has been cleared by the bipartisan floor and committee leaderships.
I don't know what the bill is. I don't know what's happening.
What purpose does the gentleman from Tennessee seek recognition?
Parliamentary inquiry, Mr. Speaker. We Republicans are requesting this unanimous consent. Are Democrats objecting to this request?
Chair reminds the gentleman from Tennessee that as indicated by Section 956 of the House Rules and Manual, it is not a proper parliamentary inquiry to ask the chair to indicate which side of the aisle has failed under the Speaker's guidelines to clear a unanimous consent request as was stated.
They're pulling some shenanigans here.
This is the gentlelady from
What
Minnesota
schemes?
seek recognition.
Mr. Speaker, by the direction of the Committee on Rules, I call up House Resolution 873 and ask for its immediate consideration.
The clerk will report the resolution.
House Calendar Number 46, House Resolution 873. Resolved, that upon adoption of this resolution, it shall be in order to take from the Speaker's table the bill H.R. 5371, making continuing appropriations and extensions for fiscal year 2026 and for other purposes, with the Senate amendment thereto, and to consider in the House without intervention of any point of order a motion offered by the Chair of the Committee on Appropriations or his designee that the House concur in the Senate amendment. The Senate amendment and the motion shall be considered as read. The motion shall be debatable for 1 hour, equally divided and controlled by the Chair and ranking
If you want to know
member
how, by the way, they can
or their respective
Republicans can like
subcommittees.
slip in weird
Previous
stuff
question
into
shall be
bills.
considered as
This
read.
is why. This is how they talk and how they write.
Without intervening motion.
Like there's a lot of legal nonsense. It's scary. Just be careful. Bills can be huge. There's a lot of lost in the sauce nonsense.
Minnesota is recognized for 1 hour.
I hope I don't miss anything. I'm sorry.
For the purpose of debate only, I yield the customary 30 minutes to the ranking member from Massachusetts, Mr. McGovern, pending which I yield myself such time as I may consume. During consideration of this resolution, all time yielded is for the purpose of debate only. Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that all members have 5 legislative days in which to revise and extend their remarks.
Without objection.
Mr. Speaker, last night, the Rules Committee met and reported a rule providing for the consideration of the motion to concur in the Senate amendment to H.R. 5371, the Continuing Appropriations, Agriculture, Legislative Branch, Military Construction and Veterans Affairs, and Extensions Act of 2026. And I am happy to say that it will end the government shutdown. The rule provides 1 hour of debate on the motion, equally divided and controlled.
The danger is Republicans have already been sneaking stuff into the bill to reopen the government, like extra conditions. Like it's supposed to be like a ban on like THC products starting in 2026. It's just nonsense. Also, that Republicans, if they're being investigated for crimes, like if senators are investigated for crimes, they get a heads up, and then they can sue for like $500,000. They're entitled to that. Like it's wild. They're trying to future proof their own crimes.
It was a yes vote to keep the government open, to pay our troops, air traffic controllers, and federal employees. Every Democrat but one voted no. Every Democrat but one voted to shut the government down. This is not opinion. This is not messaging like Democrats keep.
The politicking. Just whining so much.
A nonpartisan, clean CR, free of poison pills, and would have continued that would have continued Biden level funding and kept the government open for negotiations.
It is sad how much Trump has poisoned how Republicans do things. Even right now, they're just like politicizing this and whining about this. It's pathetic. I was at a meeting it. It's just blaming Biden and saying like this was non-partisan. Like it was highly partisan. Upsetting. This is terrible. Also, we have to notice the language shift over time. And so they keep whining about how like we gotta protect women and their babies, which is a way that like the evangelical creepy stuff has like slipped in and put in this like gender regressivism. So just be careful with that. Like don't concede that. They're people, they're individuals. Honey and Tech Rose, yeah. Biden or Obama? I mean, on policy, and part of it is just time. I think they both would end up at the same place. Biden is actually more progressive than Obama. Gay marriage was legalized in 2015. That was Biden's idea. He pushed Obama to do it. So I would say Biden, but Obama probably could go to Biden's left now, in which case Obama.
Opioid misuse prevention and
They're
treatment,
getting lots of like
medical
weird
research,
self-aggrandizing
healthcare
description of what's in
tailored
the
to our
bill too.
female
Like,
veterans,
wow, we're reopening
rural
government.
healthcare
We have money
initiatives,
to do all these
and
different things.
construction
This
of
is
new
just
VA
political
hospitals
spin.
and veteran
The main
cemeteries.
problem is that
We're
Republicans
also
are
funding
sneaking
veteran
in
disability
poison
programs,
amendments into
education
things to
benefits, and
reopen the
employment
government and
training.
shut down.
Funds will be invested in military family housing projects to support those that support our troops and in projects to improve quality of life for our service members, including hospitals and schools.
I hate how they keep
Mr.
like
Speaker,
bragging about the
H.R.
military when they don't give a
5371
fuck
is
about the
what
military.
governing with a
Donald
purpose
Trump
looks like.
went to some
The
event
Democrats that joined
um
us in September
uh
to pass a
yesterday, like on
comprehensive
Veterans
continuing
Day,
resolution
and spent the whole time politicizing
avoided
it
this
and complaining
Democratic
about
shutdown
Democrats and Biden and
altogether.
Obama and shit. And like
But they chose
it's so
reckless
disrespectful.
posturing over
If you care about
responsibility.
like veterans,
Now Republicans are starting to
Democrats
focus
do
on
more for
accountability
veterans.
and
Democrats
reopen the
are better
government for the
funders of
people.
veterans
I
affairs.
stand in support of this bill, and I urge my colleagues to support H.R. 5371 and stay focused on what matters, serving the American people. With that, Mr. Speaker, I reserve.
Gentlelady reserves her time. Gentleman from Massachusetts is recognized.
Well, thank you,
She's a
Mr.
liar.
Speaker, and I want to thank the gentlelady from
She's such a
Minnesota for
liar.
yielding me the customary time, and I yield myself such time as I may consume.
Gentleman is recognized.
It's great to see you all, Mr. Speaker. We've been looking for you guys everywhere. Where the hell have you been? Imagine my shock when I found out that you
True.
guys went home. 8 weeks of taxpayer-funded paid vacation for Republicans.
Also, I love this
Why
guy's
did
name,
Republicans do it?
Representative
They did it because
McGovern.
Democrats had the audacity to ask them to try to lower people's health care costs. And while they sat on their
Healthcare's
couch for
important.
8 weeks, we were working. We listened to people who told us their health insurance premiums are doubling and tripling. We heard from people who don't understand why you guys moved at the speed of light to give tax breaks to billionaires
Hmm.
when you won't lift a damn finger
Yeah,
to
it's like a
extend the
weird
tax
AI name.
credits that help ensure people's health insurance premiums don't skyrocket. This CR, this dirty CR, which does nothing to solve the healthcare crisis, is one of the most immoral, unethical, evil things that I have ever seen happen in all my time in
True.
Congress.
Um,
But it's just part of a larger pattern of
another
indifference.
another point I want to bring up is the Republicans have used very weird, creepy language around this, referring to all their deals as clean and any other deal they don't like as dirty. It's another way like, we're getting this like fascistic, racialist like language kind of sneak in. It's contemptible. It's gross.
through their awful, big, ugly bill in a nanosecond.
Big ugly Bill, big terrible Bill, big bad Bill. Just fucking, it's big bad Bill. It's right there. Gosh, they all suck at messaging. They all suck at messaging. I don't understand it. Like, it's Democrats need desperately to hire like a marketing or PR firm. They're missing the whole plot of the information age. There's streets behind.
Extra $1,200 per year. Regular people can't afford the rent, and Republicans are letting Trump gild his bathroom and build a ballroom to host the rich and powerful elites who own the GOP. These guys are bailing out Argentina. Argentina! They're giving $40 billion to an
The
entirely
Argentina
different
bailout
country
is
rather than
unacceptable.
helping the 42
It
million
is so
Americans
bad.
who can't afford to put food on the table.
Billions of
And
dollars to
here's the
Argentina
clincher, Mr. Speaker.
just because,
Buried in this
he's Trump's
CR
friend
is
who
a corrupt
bankrupted his
escrow
country
for
too.
8 Republican senators.
Idiots stick
A $1
together.
million payday funded by taxpayers taken straight from
I'm really worried about what's going to happen. It's going to
deposited
go sideways
directly
here.
into their pockets. What the hell is wrong with this place? They promised to put America first. The only thing you guys put
That's where
first
Trump's
is
escape mansion.
yourselves.
Exactly.
Yourselves and the rich and powerful people who pull your strings behind the scenes. These people don't care. They don't have to call the insurance company because their claim was denied. They don't buy their own groceries. If you have a private jet, an offshore bank account, and an invite to Mar-a-Lago, go ahead and support your Republican representative. But if you're a regular person who feels like you're getting screwed over, if you are fed up with the status quo here in Washington that only works for those at the top, this
One must have for brand owners. Stock
Ah,
Brand gives you an
ads.
affordable and effective way to
Oh,
promote your brand and artwork.
are on your side, and we will fight with you every step of the way against the corruption, the lies, and the BS coming out of this administration. And
the
we
chat is
won't back
spicy. The chat is
this
real mad.
so-called deal. It's not a real solution, and it
And the
is
YouTube
certainly
chat for
not a
this like
clean
news feed,
CR.
it's a lot of
This
people like
CR
begging for
keeps
the release of the
families
Epstein files,
twisting in the
which is
wind.
becoming a
With
bipartisan call to
zero
action, which is good.
guarantee there will ever be a vote to extend tax credits to help everyday people pay for their health care. I urge my colleagues to vote no on this rule and no on the underlying legislation, and I reserve my time.
Gentleman's time is reserved. Gentlelady from
Okay.
Minnesota.
Yeah, the government might not reopen if they stick with
Thank
that.
you, Mr.
We'll see.
Speaker. And there is so much to unpack and to object to in the ranking member's opening statement. But I just want to comment on one of the issues. And I find the statement that Republicans were on vacation laughable. The idea that Republicans were
Oh
on
my
vacation
God.
during the shutdown
The
is
Republicans were
simply
literally on
false.
vacation.
It's false. Many of us
They
were
were
in
all Ted Cruz
Washington,
in it.
or we were in our districts, meeting with constituents, advancing local priorities, and staying fully engaged with our constituents and our work. Our dedication to serving the American people didn't pause during the shutdown. Whether in D.C. or back at home, which for the record, I was in both places, and many of my Republican colleagues were too, we were doing the work we were elected to do. And the real story here is not about the absence, it is about the commitment. And for Republicans, we never wavered. If the
They
Democrats
never
cared
wavered
so
on the
much
desire
about
to
working,
fuck Americans with
they would
debt.
not
That's a really good
shut
sound clip.
the government down. And with that, I would like to yield 4
Okay.
minutes to the gentlewoman
Democrats
from North
should.
Carolina, the esteemed chairwoman of the
Democrats
House
really need to
Gentlelady
bring that
from
up,
North Carolina, Ms. Fox, is
and bash
recognized
them
for
over
4
that a
minutes.
lot. Democrats really, just this whole that sound clip. That, like Republicans never wavered. Wavered on what? Wavered on what? Republicans should absolutely be left out to dry on this claim that they're proudly making healthcare too expensive for Americans. That's an absolute vote of no confidence. Like that's a vote them out over this. Just, oh my God. This crazy boomer lady is this calling the Democrats clowns. She's 100. Who taught it? I can't believe like Donald Trump started talking like this, and then they all have to start talking like this.
Democrats really agree on anything. Last night and into the
Old
early
ladies
hours
should
of
not
this
talk like
morning,
this.
they showed everyone that
This
they
is
couldn't even
grotesque.
agree on what they're angry about. They went off on so many tangents that it would have been a miracle if they arrived at a single coherent
We're
thought
angry about not having
during
health
our
care we can
meeting.
afford.
The American
We're
people
angry about
received
a
the
party
exact
that's more
same
interested
thing
in protecting
fleshed
pedophiles
out from
than
them during
protecting
this
American
debate
health.
and during general debate on the floor later today.
Easy.
Apparently, the only thing Democrats can agree on is that the government needs to stay shut down and that the American people need to suffer even more than they have already made them suffer.
Who made them
We heard
suffer? Who
from
made them
Democrats
suffer?
repeatedly about the millions of
Who
people they
refused to
believe
give out
are going to
SNAP
be
benefits even when
affected
ordered
when
by a
their
court?
own
That's the
temporary COVID
that's the message.
credits
That's I mean, it's unacceptable.
sunset at the end of
That is of
this year.
such
Their
importance.
own
It disgusts me.
temporary COVID credits. Did we hear anything about the millions of Americans who got walloped by Democrats when they shut the government down? Did we hear an apology from Democrats to the American people for deliberately misleading them over 40 days? Did we hear an admission that the only reason they shut down the
Oh
government
my
is
God!
to
It's just this
cover
political
up for
grandstanding.
a catastrophic
It's okay. This
policy
lady doesn't know how
failure
to get on a
that they
podcast. Okay,
concocted
she's only
and
up to
set
radio.
an
She's
end
figuring out the
date
rest.
on? No,
She's using
we
your time
didn't
now. It's all
hear
she knows.
one of those things. Not one. Mr. Speaker, I'm not
People
surprised.
voted for this
This is
human
the
being.
kind of behavior that Americans have come to expect from Democrats. Has anyone ever noticed how Democrats have developed such a visceral reaction when confronted about their abdication of responsibility? They shut the
Abdication of
government down, and the
responsibility.
moment you
Democrats
call
were
attention
trying.
to their
Republicans
own
are on vacation.
actions, all they
Republicans
do
literally
is
left
obfuscate
Washington.
and start shrieking about unrelated things.
AOC kept saying,
Scientists
"Hey,
have
they can call
studied
me." They
this
keep
at length
complaining about me at Fox
and
News. They
try to
haven't
come
reached
up with
out. They
a
haven't tried to
cure.
talk.
It's a serious affliction, as was evidenced numerous times over in our Rules Committee meeting. It's well past time to reopen the government and end the Democrat concocted nightmare that Americans have been living through for over 40 straight days.
Democrats
The
didn't
CR
decide
before
to
us will end that nightmare.
stop
It will get
food
this
stamps from
legislative
going out, even
body
when ordered
and
by
the
the court.
entire nation moving once more. Democrats should grow a spine and accept responsibility for their own failures. I urge a yes vote on the rule, and I
Oh my
yield
God,
back.
none of that's about the bill at all.
Gentlelady from Minnesota reserves her time remaining. Gentleman from Massachusetts.
None of that's about the bill. Yeah, like
You
it's
gotta love these
crazy.
Republicans. The gentlelady from Minnesota says they weren't on vacation. I want to remind
The
her
Epstein
that we
shutdown.
haven't
Yeah,
voted for 8 weeks. And most people define vacation as you don't have to show up to work and you get paid. That's exactly what Republicans did. They didn't show up to work and they got paid. It was a paid vacation. I now yield 1 minute to the gentlewoman from Texas, Ms.
true.
Johnson.
Gentlelady from Texas is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you so much. I rise today in strong opposition to this bill. I'm a hell no on any legislation that strips
Hell
health
yeah.
care away from millions
Love
of
this.
Texans. In my
Good, good. A
district, nearly
Texas lady.
100,000 of my constituents rely on the Affordable Care Act's tax credits to pay for their coverage. Without these life-saving credits, many of them will go without health care at all. Every day during this shutdown, my office has heard from thousands of families across my district saying, "For the love of God, save my health care." And tucked away in this bill is a brazen payoff, millions of taxpayer dollars funneled to the benefit of a handful of senators, while families are struggling to afford groceries and health care. We are being asked to sign off on a deal that lines the pockets of the very people who wrote it. That is an insult to every hardworking taxpayer who expects honesty from their government. The contrast could not be clearer. Republicans are operating in the currency of cruelty and corruption, while Democrats are fighting with courage and compassion. The American people deserve better, and I will never stop fighting to protect the basic necessities every family needs to survive. I yield back.
Gentlelady from Minnesota.
Mr. Speaker, I yield 2 minutes to the gentleman from Georgia.
Gentleman from Georgia
Oh
is
God, it's just gonna
recognized
be
for 2 minutes.
politicized. Notice how
Thank
like
you,
the
Mr. Speaker.
Democrats are talking about their
And
constituents and what's good for people, and then
the
Republicans are just
American
like
farmer needs this bill to
trying to
pass.
hate Democrats.
The American soldier needs this bill to pass. Our air
Oh my
traffic
God, about
controllers
the
need this
soldiers.
bill to pass. The
Why,
men and women who protect
if
us
you
on the
care about soldiers,
Capitol and
why
on
do
federal
you
law
let a
enforcement
drunk run the
need this
Department
bill
of
to
War?
pass. I'm one of those who represents a lot of federal employees, and they've been without a check for a long time, Mr. Speaker.
Might not
This is
enforcement.
very simple. Very simple. It's way past time to
And
open the government up.
they snuck
There are
in
going to be
these
a
poison
lot of
pill amendments
excuses
too.
about coulda,
It's
shoulda,
not an excuse.
woulda,
It's like
and you
Republicans are
need to
literally
take this
trying to give
provision or
themselves a
that
payout if
provision
they're
out,
investigated.
or they're going to vote to keep the
It's
government
corruption
down.
of the highest order.
Well, let me tell you something. The vote today, it is straight up or straight down. You vote to open the government up today, or you vote to keep it closed. That's all there is to it. Now, as for the provision that's been mentioned a few times about the Senate language, I have introduced a piece of legislation already to repeal the Senate language, and I'm hopeful that we'll have a vote on that as soon as we get back. Mr. Speaker, I yield the remainder of my time.
And it's weird all this grandstanding too, because like we already know how they're going to vote, right? They've already like made up their minds.
Mr. Speaker, you gotta love these guys. I mean, they're all introducing
But yeah,
legislation.
no, I'm saying
to
Department of
repeal
War. Like,
provisions in a bill
we
that
feel Department of War is a
doesn't
bad
exist.
look,
I
all
mean,
right? Like,
figure that out.
people
Mr.
can
Speaker, the
justify,
previous
well, we do need to
question
spend money on
is the
defense, even if we don't like
House
it.
Democrats
There's
last
no
night proposed to
justification
make a
for like,
change to this rule
the
that won't get
Department
voted on.
of
And I
War. We
want to
need to
use this
fund more
opportunity to talk
wars.
about
No
a
one likes that.
last-minute provision
It's
that was slipped into the
stupid
CR in the Senate.
posturing.
It's an outrageous giveaway to pad the pockets of 8 Republican senators. And it's one of the most corrupt things I've seen in my life. So if the House defeats the previous question, I will offer an amendment to the rule to consider as adopted an amendment to the continuing resolution offered by Representative Subramanian which would strike the corrupt giveaway out of the text of this bill so it does not make it into law. Mr. Speaker, this is a massive payday for Republicans. It would allow 8 of their senators to shovel millions of dollars into their own wallets. I'm talking cash money, not for their states, not for their constituents. No, for their own personal bank accounts. Why should a United States
this is the
senator
most
or
corrupt,
any party get a special
sneaky
right
amendment
that
of your bill.
nobody else has? No state legislator, no governor, no judge, no citizen in the entire country has this right. But we are creating it for a handful of Republican senators. It is immoral. I'd say it's unconstitutional. It is wrong. And it's probably the most brazen theft and plunder of public resources ever proposed in the United States Congress. And it was tucked into this legislation. And I want to speak directly to Republicans who say they can't vote with us because it will delay the reopening of the government. First off, that's exactly what these corrupt senators were hoping you'd say. Second, we absolutely can send this back to the Senate. They can quickly strip it and send the bill to the President. They finished this package in less than 2 days. This is one small thing that needs to be deleted. It's easy, and it can be done very fast. But, and please spare me the excuses
Yes, this is the right message.
that we'll get this done next week with a new bill. Once this is law, that's it. It is signed into law forever. It will never change. It is permanent, and you voted for it. And Republicans you all know that. So don't say you're going to pass some new bill next week to address this. That's just an excuse to do nothing that will fix it. Republicans moved at the speed of light to give tax breaks to billionaires, and the least they can do is give the same urgency to stop this shamelessly corrupt fleecing of the American people. Now, I get it.
Thank you, McGovern.
Suing the U.S. government for $230 million. And
That's some Mick leadership right there.
Want in on the action. They want their own payday. But I've never seen this level of grift, shameless corruption, and theft of public money in my entire life, ever. So, Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent to insert the text of my amendment into the
extent to which this is corrupt is like insane. Like this is wild to me. To be like, oh, you can't prosecute us actually or investigate us. If you try to investigate us, first of all, you have to give us a heads up so we have time to destroy the evidence. And then also, like, we are entitled to tons of taxpayer money if you even bother to investigate us to us, right? Which proves, I think, that they know the writing is on the wall for this administration, for this regime. And they're already trying to build in themselves extra strategies.
Corrupt politicians line their pockets with taxpayer money. That's what they really hate. But that's what this bill does. Republican senators slipped into this bill a legal pathway for them to personally receive millions of dollars in taxpayer money for being investigated after January 6th. And the other side talks about fiscal responsibility and says there's no money for health care, but somehow there's taxpayer money for Republican senators. This is an ethics violation. This is a breach of trust. And it calls into question the very legitimacy of this institution. So I put forward an amendment to reject this corruption, but committee Republicans voted it down last night, and they said they knew it was corrupt, but that there was nothing that could be done, and that the system didn't work. Well, you are the system. And House Republicans promised to vote on this
True.
next week as a standalone bill, but there's no guarantee that the Senate will act. In fact, they probably won't act, right? So you have the power to join us in righting this wrong today. So let's take out this ridiculous kickback. Otherwise, a vote for this bill is a vote for corruption. I yield back.
Gentleman yields back.
It is also very rough how vocally even the other Democrats in like the House know the Senate steal. Like, oh, we got a promise on a vote next week. Like, they're like, this is not going to happen. And they're saying that publicly, like in session. That's a wild like public show of like, there's no faith in that. It's bad. The Senate Democrats messed up bad.
To get the government open. And that's why we are here today. Getting our federal employees paid, getting our troops paid, getting SNAP back on track, getting our airports back to full capacity. Once this happens, we can tackle the issues and get back to really doing the things for the American people, not using their suffering as leverage, like the Democrat Whip Clark is willing to do. Democrats have spent
Oh my
weeks
gosh.
preparing
Republicans
political
snuck in this like
theater
payday
by refusing
amendment
to open government and
instead of just saying we're going to open the government. Like, just it's fine, just open the government. It's fine.
But we need to
They
prioritize
literally want like
the
hundreds of
reopening
thousands
the
of
government
dollars
and
each
stop the suffering
of
that the
taxpayer money, just
Democrats want
directly,
to use as
personally,
leverage.
like just a
And with
payout.
that, I yield 2 minutes to the
It's
gentleman from New
looting.
York.
Gentleman from New York is recognized for 2 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, I rise in strong support of this rule and ending this shutdown chaos. For more than 40 days, the American people have endured a painful and entirely avoidable government shutdown. Not because of policy differences, but because Senate Democrats and Chuck Schumer chose politics over people. And while Washington stalled, hardworking Americans paid the price. Our air traffic controllers went without pay. A system stretched thinner by the day, putting new strain on that system that put millions of lives at risk. Americans depend on them to keep our skies safe. And families who rely on SNAP and WIC, parents just trying to feed their kids, were left wondering how they'd make it through another week. And at the same time, our border agents and our Coast Guard members, they continued to serve this country as their own
For
families went without
whining.
pay. And through it all,
If they wanted the
millions of
government open, they would
Americans carried the
just
weight of the shutdown.
put a bill forward to
Senate
open the government.
Democrats
They
had
wouldn't be
chance
trying to get a
after
payday out of it.
chance to end
They're
it.
purposely
But
trying to do
instead,
something so
they
morally
chose to
reprehensible,
prolong
Democrats
time. That
won't
is
go
not
for it.
leadership. That's hypocrisy. It was never about budgets or priorities. It was about
Like, it's about a
power.
weird power
It's
flex
not about turning
and a weird,
government
like, opportunism for
on.
money.
For them, it's about turning government into
Despicable.
performance, where the
Despicable.
people paying the highest price are the ones furthest from Washington. For more than 40 days, families were used as political pawns and props, while those responsible stood in front of cameras pretending to solve the crisis that they created. I actually
Republicans
saw
were literally
from
not solving
my
anything or
home
doing
state
anything.
stand at a food bank
They don't have a
and
health care
decry the
plan.
fact that
They
nutritional
just took a paid
assistance was in
vacation and went
question,
home.
then swear up and down that they would vote against
And then
ending
they
this
just
shutdown. That is
stopped
the
anyone from getting to eat.
epitome of hypocrisy, and the American people deserve better than that. House Republicans did our job. We passed a clean continuing resolution weeks ago.
No, they didn't.
The same kind of straightforward measure that should have been agreed to immediately to keep this government open. But Senate Democrats blocked that 14 times, prolonging this shutdown just to score points for their woke, angry mob. This measure
Oh
was
my
put
God,
into
the
place
woke
at the
angry
same
mob
time
who
the
wants to go to
legislation
the
they could have
doctor when
passed
they're
40
sick without
days
being
ago.
financially
The
ruined.
only thing that has changed is the political calendar. So, Mr. Speaker, I urge my colleagues to support the rule, stand with the American people, the families, the veterans,
Oh,
the
what a
public
poser.
servants who have carried the burden of this shutdown, and let's reopen our government, and let's get this country moving again. And I yield back, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman from Massachusetts.
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent to insert into the record an article from ABC News entitled, "Inflation Climbs to the Highest Level Since January, Beef Prices Soar."
Without objection.
I request unanimous consent to insert into
Unacceptable.
the record an article from the Washington Post entitled, "From Groceries to Gas, Americans Say They're Spending More Under Trump."
Without objection.
I ask unanimous consent to insert into the record an article from the New Republic entitled, "No, You're Wrong. Trump Spirals When Pressed on Rising Food Prices."
Without objection.
I ask unanimous consent to insert into the record an article from the New Republic entitled, Trump admits he doesn't care about affordability as economy plunges.
Without objection.
I ask unanimous consent to insert into the record an article from MSNBC entitled, "Not a Big Issue, Republicans Shrug as Consumers Confront Healthcare Sticker Shock."
Without objection.
I ask unanimous consent to insert into the record an opinion article published in MSNBC entitled, "Trump's Argentina Bailout Once Again Puts America Last."
Without objection.
I ask unanimous
True.
consent to insert into the record an article from PBS entitled, "Trump Administration Working on Doubling Argentina Financing to $40 billion."
I can't put into words how much,
I
like,
ask unanimous consent to insert.
if you hated farmers, if you hated veterans, you should proudly vote Republican. If you want them to live, you should vote for Democrats.
Americans brace for SNAP benefits to expire.
Without objection.
I ask unanimous consent to insert into the record an article from the New York Times entitled,
"Students with ADHD save 10
Oh my
hours
gosh.
studying with this Chrome extension."
But no, by all means, go ahead.
"To End the Shutdown is Full of Giveaways to Republicans."
Without objection.
And Mr. Speaker, I yield myself 15 seconds.
Gentleman is recognized for 15 seconds.
I'm sorry that the gentlelady thinks that trying to stop people's health care premiums from doubling and tripling and quadrupling is political theater, but we don't. And I don't have time to address all the BS coming from my colleagues across the chamber, but it's clear that this Republican leadership is not only failing to deliver on their promises, they're selling out at the expense of the basic needs of the American people. I reserve.
Time is reserved. Gentlelady from Minnesota.
Mr. Speaker, I yield 2 minutes to the gentleman from Texas.
Gentleman from Texas, Mr. Roy, is recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank the gentleman from Arkansas. I thank the gentlelady from Minnesota. And here we are on September 19th. House Republicans passed legislation which would have funded government through November 20th. Here we are on November 12th, and we are basically where we would have been had we just passed the bill that we passed in September. And what did we get for all of that? What happened over all these days? Well, my colleagues on the other side of the aisle were searching for a reason for voters to support them next November. They were searching for a cause.
Are you kidding?
And we know this because there was intervening elections and a lot of rhetoric, but no result. We're here right now with Democrats having joined senators to send a bill over here to fund government.
It becomes a reason to vote because Republicans didn't take the chance now.
That keeps spending relatively flat, advances the priorities the American people sent us here to advance, to back up the president.
Hey, the priorities of American people are food, medicine, and shelter.
To focusing on defending this nation rather than advancing woke priorities, which the American people sent him here to do.
What the fuck?
For us to
Oh my God, this is good news actually. All of the establishment Republicans still think they can play the trans fear-mongering woke card. They have no idea what landscape they're in right now. They are so out of touch.
Response to health care, because it's the only default position they have is the default to health care. And the fact is, it's because they broke the system so badly that they are now coming and asking us to have the Treasury print money to then give out in order to enrich
Donald Trump is the one
with massive subsidies. That's the actual fact.
Okay, if he was calling for single-payer healthcare, I'd support him. But I mean, healthcare is expensive, and we need some subsidies just to survive right now until we can pass like universal healthcare, which Democrats will do. Republicans will not. Yeah, it is getting more expensive. And also, it's really interesting to me that this is like a bad testament. Like, this guy is really kind of stupid. It's like, oh, the Democrats are just talking about healthcare, so that's their one thing. It's like, that's a good thing to have. He's really out of touch to push against that. That guy is bought and owned by insurance companies. Easily.
For a United States senator that pushed for a government shutdown and to object to the Affordable Care Act. But by the way, I just want to make it clear to everybody, this is a Republican shutdown. They control the White House, they control the House, they control the Senate. You know, this government shut down because they don't want to negotiate. It's their way or the highway. This is a Republican shutdown. They own it. I now yield 1.5 minutes to the gentleman from Maryland, the distinguished ranking.
The government is like ready to throw down. Good for him.
Gentleman from Maryland is
Yeah, they know
recognized
what they're
for
doing
2
is
minutes.
wrong. The guy seems
And thank
annoyed.
you,
They're like,
Mr. Speaker.
oh, I
This
can't believe they
bill,
just
Governor,
care
this
about
bill,
healthcare.
which they now
Like,
call
that's a bad look. That was a
enforcement,
really bad move.
contains the single most corrupt provision for legislative self-dealing that anyone in this chamber today has ever voted on. It is such an egregiously corrupt act of legislator self-enrichment and plunder of the taxpayer that not only did every
This is something
single
to
House
really be mad
Democrat
about. This
oppose
is
it in the
such
Rules Committee last night,
an
but
abhorrent
multiple
thing.
Republicans were denouncing it, that is, before they were summoned into a side room and instructed to vote for it, which they all proceeded to do. Now they're telling us, vote for it today, and they'll repeal it, well, maybe next week, or maybe the week after that, or maybe before Christmas,
Yeah,
they'll
it's
repeal
sus
it.
as hell. They're not
I've
going
got
to
a
repeal it.
solution for you. If you don't like this corrupt provision, don't vote for it today. That will work. This is a great bill. A
Republicans,
great
the
bill that
party of
says you
small
think
government,
Republican
allegedly,
U.S. senators
formerly.
should have a
What
right
a
to
lie.
collect
Hey, just vote for this
$61
extra thing
million
now, and then we'll just vote
in
again
a
later. What a waste of time and
jackpot
money.
bonanza payoff from the taxpayers simply because they were subject to the exact same rules all other Americans were subject to and are subject to now. And they don't propose to change those rules for anybody else, not for more than 300 million Americans, not for the members of the House of Representatives, not for governors and mayors, but for themselves. They want to deal themselves a special legal
Disgusting.
privilege. In this Republican class war, great Gatsby economy where President Trump has made more than $3 billion since he reoccupied the White House, the federal building which he has proceeded to demolish in large part, where millions of Americans face losing their health care and their SNAP benefits. This provision is an affront to our taxpayers, to the rule of law, to everyone who believes. Could I ask for 15 seconds more? It is an affront to everyone who believes that we in public office must be the servants of the people, not the masters of the people who get special legal rights and privileges and multi-million-dollar payoffs. People
True.
who think that they have a right to better treatment than everybody else, like Ghislaine
This is the
Maxwell
good line.
in their
Ooh,
prison camp where she gets room service, puppy time, and
Gentleman's time
special
has
gym
expired.
privileges.
Gentlelady from Minnesota.
that's a good point. Yeah.
She
Why
reserves
is
1 minute
Maxwell getting
with
special treatment?
Massachusetts.
Why did Epstein
I
die on
yield for
Trump's
1 minute
watch?
to the gentlewoman from
Why
Oregon,
is
Mrs. Bonamici.
the key witness into those
Gentlelady's recognized.
Thank you,
dealings,
Mr. Speaker. I
Ghislaine
rise today
Maxwell,
in
getting special
opposition to this
treatment from the
continuing
Trump
resolution.
administration?
I will not support a bill that will
What's the cost
continue
of
the
that?
Republicans' assault on Americans and their pocketbooks. At a time when Oregonians and Americans are already struggling with rising costs, this
Oregonians?
bill locks in devastating cuts to health care and drives
Like
up the
the
cost,
lizard
in
people?
many cases significantly. The assault on health care and the Republican shutdown more broadly, they're further proof that the first 10 months of this Trump administration have been chaotic, harmful, and completely out of touch with the needs of the American people. Donald Trump held an extravagant Great Gatsby party at Mar-a-Lago the night before SNAP benefits expired, while the administration and Republicans continue to ignore the
Our
needs of
politics
working
is so
families.
cooked.
That's not
If this is what we
governing.
have.
They've abandoned their responsibility to bring down costs and grow the
They don't care
economy.
about
Mr. Speaker,
responsibility.
this
I
bill
mean,
was
they're
already
literally,
bad, but now they added this corrupt, get-rich-quick
they're literally,
scheme
yeah,
to
they're trying to just get
distribute
rich off of
thousands
it.
of taxpayer dollars to Trump-aligned senators. That is outrageous. Oregonians and Americans deserve better. My colleagues should listen to
Oh,
their
Oregonians. Oh, she's
constituents,
from Oregon.
vote no, and come back to the table and
Sorry,
join
I'm a
us in the
nerd.
work to make health care affordable and accessible to all. I yield back.
Gentlelady from Minnesota with 14 and 1/2 minutes remaining.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, I yield 2 minutes to the gentleman from North Carolina.
Gentleman from North Carolina is recognized for 2 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today as we are in the process of ending the longest government shutdown in our nation's history, and to affirm that this Congress will get back to leading America into her next golden age.
You know
Over
what?
40
As soon as
days,
there's like any
that is
Republican
how
opening their
long the
mouth,
government has been
I
closed.
give my
Over
full uncritical
40
support
days, Democrats here in
to
this
even the
body
most
and in the
establishment
Senate
of
have
Democrats.
chosen chaos over our country. They chose to shut the government down because politics demanded it, not policy. The elites who dominate their party's decision making are the ones least impacted by its decisions. Were the far left activists and Democrats
Oh
here in
my
this
God.
body the ones not getting paychecks? No, Mr. Speaker. That was the air traffic controllers, our troops, and our Capitol Police
The
officers.
troops.
When
The
Ukraine
troops who we keep neglecting and want to
passed
send to war.
Obamacare, were they the ones impacted by the law, or was it the middle-class teacher in North Carolina who could no longer keep their doctor? We all know the answer to that, Mr. Speaker. And across the
Interesting
nation,
how that now
federal
Republicans
workers
are
are
trying
working
to
2 and 3
suck up to the
jobs
middle
just to stay
class, which they were
afloat.
not. They were like the working class people,
Also,
right?
Democrats could champion
Which
illegal
means that
aliens who
the
exploit
affordability
American
arguments are
passion
working and
as
Democrats are
they
getting
poison
gains
our
in the working
communities with
class.
deadly
Republicans
fentanyl.
are trying to switch up their
That
target
is
audience.
not governing. That was extortion of the American taxpayer. But that ends today. Today, we are in the process of finally reopening the government, returning to the business of the people, and further implementing the mandate our constituents sent us here to deliver on. Democrats chose to have a month of political theater, but political shows don't do one thing to help make the cost of everyday items more affordable. It is time to
Now
pivot
Republicans are
and
whining
focus
about
on making
affordability.
America more
Oh, they
affordable
can't.
for the
They
middle
can't
class.
backpedal into
Mr.
this.
Speaker, I urge a yes vote
Affordable
on
for
this
the middle
bill, and with
class.
that, I'll yield back.
Ooh, that guy got some bad
Gentleman from
focus group
Massachusetts.
knowledge. They are
Mr. Speaker, we're
panicking.
getting lectured on governance by a guy who is just coming off an 8-week paid vacation. Give me a break. At this time, I'd like to yield 1.5 minutes to the gentleman from New
True.
Jersey, the next governor of New Jersey, Ms. Sherrill.
The government is soloing all of this.
Gentlelady from New Jersey is recognized for 1.5 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, I rise in opposition to a rule for a bill that does nothing to protect over 450,000 New Jerseyans who will see their health care premiums skyrocket.
Also, Democrats are talking about the people in their states and like how much they need healthcare. Republicans are only like complaining about woke people. Like it's just this vague. The Democrats are like they don't have a target.
Attacking the Affordable Care Act. I promised I would take on the status quo. I would fight the big fights because that's what people expect
User
of
behavior
their leaders.
from the
That's what
Republicans here.
people deserve from their leaders. And I'm proud of the wins that I've delivered as your representative for New Jersey's 11th District. Capping the cost of insulin and prescription drugs for seniors, funding the Gateway Tunnel, the PACT Act for veterans, flood mitigation projects, delivering for Picatinny Arsenal. You have trusted me, New Jersey, and last week you placed your trust in me again, electing me your 57th governor.
Oh hell yeah, this is a new
I
governor
ran
of
on
New
a
Jersey.
similar
Hell yeah.
promise to take on anyone and stop at nothing to lower cost and build opportunity for everyone.
Oh, Republicans must hate
This
seeing
will
her
be my
here.
last speech in this chamber.
She was
I
not
intend to submit my
likely to win,
resignation
by the
next
way.
week
Her
and
opponent was
turn to
actually pretty good.
protecting all of New Jersey. So my parting message to Jersey is thank you. To my staff, thank you for your dedication to serving the 11th District of New Jersey. To my colleagues, do not let this body become a ceremonial red stamp from an administration that takes food away from children and rips away health care.
30 seconds.
Gentlelady's given another 30 seconds.
That rips health care away from people and takes food away from children. To the country, stand strong. As we say in the Navy, don't give up the ship. Thank you, and I yield back.
Wait, she's actually was in the Navy. Incredible. Oh, Republicans are just virtue signaling. I
Gentlelady
have
from
no idea
Minnesota
what they're talking
reserves.
about.
Gentleman from Massachusetts.
Mr. Speaker, I yield 1 minute to the gentleman from Rhode Island, Mr. Magazzino.
Gentleman from Rhode Island is recognized for 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker, House Republicans are back from their 54-day taxpayer-funded vacation. But don't get me wrong, they do know how to work hard. When billionaires wanted tax breaks, they moved mountains to make it happen. When Argentina needed a $40 billion bailout to help Trump's buddy, they moved quickly to make it happen at the White House. But when working people need help, when millions of Americans are seeing their health insurance costs double and triple, and Americans all across this country are feeling like they're going to have to go without health insurance for the first time in their lives because they can't afford it anymore and have to make that terrible decision about which of their family members they're going to cut off of their insurance, House Republicans are nowhere to be found. When Donald Trump's stupid tariffs are raising the price of groceries, the cost of coffee is up 40% over the last year. House Republicans are silent. When working people need help, they are absent. Shameful. So they will work.
True.
When billionaires need tax cuts, when Argentina needs a bailout, but when working people need relief
This is good. Yeah,
from
this is how you center the
tax-funded
affordability narrative. What are Republicans actually
taxpayer-funded
spending money on
vacation.
and not spending money on?
Shameful, Mr. Speaker.
Republicans are going to
Vote
start
no
stealing
on
the
this
talking points
budget.
more and
Do
more about
not cut the
affordability.
health care the
They
American
don't have
people
plans,
need
and their
now.
record
Young
goes
lady from
directly
Minnesota.
against them.
Thank you, Mr.
This
Speaker.
Republican
And I
Congress,
yield
for all
1
its
minute to
evil,
the gentleman
is
from New York.
shockingly
New York
unproductive.
is recognized for
They
1
have done
minute.
so
The reason we
little.
know this is a Democratic shutdown is because of how angry they are that we're about to reopen the government. Period. That's all you need to know. In 2023, Jerry Nadler said shutdown is really an extremist policy designed to appeal to an extremist base and hold the whole country hostage. That is exactly what the Democrats have done over the last 43 days. They have held the American people hostage, trying to extract
They ever
insane
tired
things
of the
like
warning?
free health care for illegal immigrants. If they were serious about
Scribe is how you stop explaining the same thing over and over at work. Watch this. It'll change your life. Raise your hand if you've told your boss how to do the same
Alright,
thing
unfortunately, I'm gonna
over
have
just
to
hot setup.
go.
That's why there's Scribe. Go to scribehow.com. Click capture.
I might
Do
just
the
end the
task
stream now.
once.
Yeah.
And
She's sworn
suddenly
in, which is
you'll get a
good.
step-by-step guide to
Now it's
share
the debates that
automatically.
open the government,
Ever
and
walk
that's kind
someone
of
through
where
that
all the energy
giant
is.
process and
They
know
do
that
believe, honestly, it's like 55 to 45.
he refused. He stuttered.
It's about 55-45. Most blame is on Republicans, which is correct. It's the Republican government. All they had to do was negotiate a little bit. This is from CNBC. I tried to get the PBS one, but it didn't work. So I'm going to send the link in chat. You can keep watching on your own. I also send link in the chat. I can't. Good luck, YouTube. Figure it out. So thank you so much for like hanging out with me and like keeping an eye on this, keeping a tab on this. This is not going to be the real open shutdown, but it's going to go back and forth, and there's going to be changes. And hopefully it does open. And I don't think it's acceptable to do any of this shit. To let Republicans just loot tons of taxpayer money because they feel like it. What a terrible, terrible thing. But they're trying to stall for time because they know the Epstein files are coming. So justice will come sooner than we think. Have a good day, everyone.